Hello everyone, my name is Andre and welcome to the PDHPE Teachers Association podcast. Today, got a massive treat for you all. We've got Kellie Coates here. Now, you may have seen her before, you may have heard of her before, but Kellie Coates is the founder, program creator, and facilitator of Big Picture Health, and Kellie has over 25 years of experience as a PDHPE teacher, fitness and wellbeing coach, and a sports coach at various levels of both school and clubs. Kellie has undertaken a large volume of personal development and additional study in sports leadership, positive psychology, and neuroscience. Kellie has a Bachelor of Human Movement and Exercise Science, a graduate diploma in education, and is a qualified neurochange master trainer. Kellie is also a sister, a daughter, a wife, and a mother and a friend, and she shares her lived experiences in the mental health and well-being space. Kellie, welcome to the show. How are you? What a great introduction.
Yeah, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. So excited to chat with like-minded people because I think we're all on the same page. We're all here to help our kids just have amazing lives. So be well and be healthy and be the best they can be.
Oh, you're not wrong. And I think if we can do anything and just give our part to them, guide them, teach them, and I think, you're probably the best person to speak to about this, that the mental health role in schools is big. And I think we forget how important it is because, I'm a big person on resilience and I'm a big person on, getting through hard moments. But I think, resilience isn't as simple as what people say. It's not just get up, get over it and move on. There's far more complexities just to, stop thinking about it. But, we're getting into, different waters at the moment, but we're going to get into there very, very soon. But first, tell me about Big Picture Health. So what is it? Where does it start? And where does it fit in the PDHPE syllabus?
Well, as you heard in the intro, I've been doing this gig for quite a long time. So teaching and still teaching. So I am still in schools. So yeah, very relevant. I'm seeing on a daily basis what we can and can't do in schools. And for me, this sort of journey in Big Picture Health started a little while ago, a long while ago. And it was just, as the environment was changing and our kids are changing, more and more things are being loaded into the PE curriculum. And I just felt that we weren't equipped to be teaching this stuff, like I felt like we needed to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. I'm very much a firm believer in that if you haven't experienced it or done it yourself, you probably should get out there and do it before you try and tell other people how to do it. And, imagine you're the prac teacher, in a school, you think you know what you're doing until you get into school. And then you start teaching, you go, well, all right, now I really understand. And so for me, it was very much that kind of pathway. But not only that, I experienced a mental health condition, and I suppose it is still with me now, an eating disorder that I struggled with for over 14 years. And, it was something that I had to sort of plow through. There wasn't the supports that are in place now for our kids back then. And so for me, it was very much a very personal struggle. I had people coming to me and trying to help me, but I was a bit like, well, what would you know? You haven't been there. So, again, all of this, Big Picture Health is about the big picture, understanding, that there are so many different ways to eat an elephant and you just got to do it one bite at a time. And I think that, we as teachers need to be really heavily involved in our own personal development if we want to teach it. And anyway, long story short is obviously I'm female and I'm very passionate about female in sports and women's wellbeing, girls' wellbeing, and watching girls continuing to drop out of sport, continuing to struggle with their body image issues, continuing to struggle with their mental health, and really struggling with being able to express their authenticity and feel like they've got a voice in the school environment, let alone in the community. I just felt that I needed to step into the gap that we weren't covering in schools. And that's kind of where Big Picture Health fits in. So I run programs where for women and girls, but not only that, for the wider community. So I do, bring boys into the club, so to speak. I do that. I've got some homeschool groups at the moment where I've got boys and girls. But yeah, it's about running programs where we can actually walk the walk and put into practice all this theory that we talk about in schools, but we never really get the chance to practice. So that's where my programs come to life. And we basically, teaching kids the skills and strategies. Like you were saying, resilience is so much bigger than just getting over it, right? And moving on. You need tools and strategies to be able to do that. And so that's where I sort of fit in. Yeah.
Everything you said just sings to my heart. I think this is just everything that we need in schools at the moment. And I do really feel that, there are a lot of teachers that are ill-equipped. And I think from my experience as well, and I had to really train in this, is seeing what needs to be seen and asking the right questions. Do you feel that when we're looking at mental health, that teachers or even adults aren't asking students the right questions?
Yeah, I think where we give our students voice is where we open the door to creating that connection and finding out what they really need. And I think in some regards, we are a little bit restricted as teachers because it's very challenging at a professional level to ask the right questions. Again, this is where I wanted to sort of create Big Picture Health, because when I'm not the teacher, I can ask those questions. I can open that door. So I understand that real conundrum that teachers sort of fall into, because we do need to hold the professional space, but we also need to be able to connect with our kids. And sometimes, some of the best ways that we can connect and, show the kids that we are relating to their experience is by telling stories. And we can't always do that as a teacher.
Sorry, I'm so glad you said that. Now I'll tell you something after this, but I'm so glad you said storytelling. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it
makes me so happy.
Good. Well, I mean, you look at education across the ages and how have we been educated? We've told stories where people have learned from the past and from their experiences. And ultimately, if we get down to the crux of what education is, that's what we do, right? So I think that, where we can be in an environment or a situation where we can ask the questions and so that the kids feel safe and where they feel that this person is wanting to find out more and I know they want to help me, there's got to be a real baseline level of trust for that to happen. And a relation, we talk about it in teaching all the time, that relationship is where education starts. And so where we can build relationship with these kids, that's where we can get into it. And I actually believe PE teachers, we are so lucky, because it is through sport and activity and games where we can create connection and relationship, right? So I think, we often create phenomenal relationships, and often with the kids that are struggle for other teachers, they're in the English and the maths class and the teachers are tearing their hair out and we're going, oh, that kid's amazing for me, right?
Absolutely.
And so, but I think it's because when they're with us, they're in their bodies, they're moving, they're connected. And for them to be really self-aware, they have to be moving. We have to change the physical state to get a change in the mental state. So, we have that opportunity in PE. And I think, for a long while, we've really separated personal development and health, like this theory, and the physical education, the prac, they're so interlaced that I don't think we can do that. And again, that's how I sort of approach my programs. Yeah.
Oh, we need more of this. This needs to be everywhere. This needs to be inserted in every single school ever created, and just have a Kellie just coming along and doing this. This is incredible. Sorry, I got really excited when you said storytelling, because that's my whole brand on teaching. It's just the whole ability to share a story and just connect through them, because it creates that, I don't know if you feel the same, but storytelling reminds the students that we're human as well. And I think we forget to humanize teaching. Teaching is a lot about, giving you expectation, giving you content, and then we grade you on the outcomes. There's not much of, well, I lived this before and I know what it's like and I know it's hard. And it makes me so happy when there's someone else saying that storytelling is a huge part of it. Do you feel that as PE teachers, we can create solid relationships by incorporating physical adversity and allow watching that growth? I always feel that there's something about being part of physical challenge and supporting that it really helps the students bond with us. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. I agree, wholeheartedly with that. We as human beings, we are designed to adapt. We are evolving constantly and our body adapts, minute by minute, second by second, and so does our brain. Right. So if we go and have a look at, the way that our brain is structured, it is adapting and learning constantly. And so we have to keep putting it into new territory we have to make ourselves uncomfortable for us to continue to grow, to evolve, to adapt. And also, it's that challenge for some, and that challenge is going to come in different ways for different people, right? Physical challenge is perfect. It's a great example, but for some people, they don't get the growth they need. So maybe it's more of that relational challenge where you're problem solving and you have to get along with people and, solve a problem to meet a physical challenge, for example. So I'm a really big fan of bringing in, those challenge-based activities in your warm-ups where the kids have to connect, they've got to communicate, they've got to solve problems, and you're switching all of those lights on all at the beginning of the lesson, and it just makes everything so much easier when, they've been able to do that. Now, I'm not saying it's successful all of the time, but certainly it's the same for us, you can't try it once and expect it to be a success every single time, or you might try 5 times and the 6th time it fails, it's going to happen. So if we continue to work through that ourselves as teachers, but trust the process and know that growth is going to happen in our kids and in our ability to actually facilitate those kinds of activities, because I think sometimes, we get a bit like, oh, well, we'll just do this kind of warm up because it's what we know. We fall into that comfort zone. And I think we've got to press ourselves to get outside of that if we expect the kids to do the same.
What do you mean, Kelly, that running around and doing laps and push-ups and squats, warm-ups? What do you mean that's not good? That's not that's effective, isn't it?
It is effective and it will probably work. It just depends on basically how you set the scene. I'm a big fan of setting the scene.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm very more for the let's move and connect for a warm-up. Let's play a game. Let's all have some fun, and then we get into the bulk. But I think we're the same with that. When it comes to school, we can all agree that positive psychology, it has a significant role. It's needed, but I think there's a bit of misconception with positive psychology, and I think people believe that positive psychology is always think positively, oh, it could be worse, glass half full, blah, blah, blah. That's not what positive psychology is. What actually is it?
Yeah, it's a bit fluffy, really, isn't it? Well, that's the sense that we have out there in the community that, everything's going to be fine. And like you say, that glass half full. But when you sort of promote it in that way, and if you don't really know what you're doing in that positive psychology space, you're actually being really toxic towards it, and you're taking away any advantage that you're going to have by trying to implement this, positive psychology strategies, I suppose we can call them, or, philosophy into our teaching and our classrooms. So, I mean, ultimately what it is, it's a strengths-based approach. We're just finding ways that we can develop our strengths or grow our strengths and capacity in adversity and in challenge. And how can we take anything that we've learned? It's learning, finding what works and moving forward from there, right? So the way that you start is through finding that real purpose and meaning, understanding why we need to do this thing, whether it's a physical activity, whether it's a challenge game or whatever it is. And I find this particularly with girls, like they want to know the why. Guys tend to be like, cool, let's go. And girls want to know, but why? Why do I have to do this? So, but again, when you dive into that positive psychology space, it's very much about, helping them understand why we do this small thing. All right. And so if we can sort of communicate that, that's the first step. The second thing is telling them and helping them understand that we're looking to build you and to build your strengths, build your capacity. We need to sort of understand that everyone's got strengths. Sometimes they're going to be really sought after and needed, and sometimes those strengths aren't. They're going to call it something, the situation will call for something different. And so it's about exploring what we can and can't sort of contribute in a situation, and then finding out also, where do we need to improve? What could we do to sort of improve what we've already got going on, right? The other thing, it's very much about this whole, I sort of call it nourishment, not punishment. It's about feeding like the individual in a community so that they can express their authenticity, their creativity, they can grow. We can create that environment for them where they can actually, move forward, where they can grow, where they can, where they can improve. And I think sometimes, we have this kind of win at all costs philosophy, and actually it doesn't help anyone. It's about, cool, let's do this together and we'll see where we get to philosophy, right? And it's how can we learn and grow from there? Yeah, it's also just fostering those opportunities for those positive emotions. We all know that positive emotions, happiness, joy, all that sort of thing, they're going to have a hormonal or create a hormonal shift in our body. So it's about where are we finding, opportunities to boost our dopamine in a really positive way, to create serotonin in a positive way, and find that connection, that oxytocin boost when we need it. And where can we do that in our classroom? How can we create that in our, practical environments? Understanding yourself and others, just being connected with self before you even worry about others. That's the first thing. And I think that mind-body connection is where that is. And then the last thing is really engagement and immersion, and helping them find goals and things that they really want to work towards, and then helping them take those steps. I think, we kind of, in schools, we talk about SMART goals, right? This is the goal and this is how we set it. But then what do we do with it, right?
Application.
Right? What next? So I think it's about, and positive psychology is very much about creating the implementation intention, right? So it's how do we implement it, or we've got the intention, but now what do we actually do with this? How do we implement it step by step? If this thing happens, what do I do now? When that thing happens, what do I do now? And that's what positive psychology is all about.
I think at the end, and I 100% agree with this, is that, goal setting is fun. You get excited because you think about the outcome, and then you think about, okay, then there's the doing. There's the doing of the goals. And achieving goals is yucky. It's not easy. It's hard. It's frustrating and things like that. And I think positive psychology has such a role of teaching students that, achieving goals is hard. Like, it sounds really great and we romanticize the feeling of the outcome, but it's actually the process that really dictates how it's going to go. And do you think it's ideal that when students have those rough moments where they get frustrated and those moments of just, oh gosh, I've done this 1,000 times before and I'm just not getting it now, do we acknowledge those conversations? Is that a learning opportunity, or do we just disregard those and say, just keep at it?
I think that's a real moment for that self-reflection, and awareness, and going, okay, great. Well, we've done this 1,000 times before. What can we do to make it different? How can we shift and change? Because I think that self-reflection and self-evaluation is a skill that we all need. And it's actually a really integral part of our mental health. It's our ability to stop, separate ourselves, our personal self, from the situation, look at the situation and go, all right, this is what's going on. And what can I use? What do I have right now? What are the tools that I've got, the strengths that I have, talking about, that strength capacity and capacity building. What can I do now to affect some sort of change in this situation? And you might even at that point change the goal, because why keep bashing your head against a brick wall if you're not getting to where you want to be? Let's shift the focus a little bit and go in a different direction and see if it works.
Oh, you're 100% totally get what you're saying and agree. It's just, oh, this is so good. I knew this was going to be good. I just didn't think it was going to be this good. So thank you. Have you ever, because you work a lot in girls' sports space. So you mentioned boys as well, but I can imagine a lot of your focus is just girls and women in sport. Do you find that a common theme of girls' sport, regardless of ages, I don't like sport? Or do you feel that there's a shift now that sport is very much loved and want to be engaged, but there's barriers?
I definitely feel it depends on where you sort of sit. And I think it depends on the age of the girls in particular. I think by the time they get a little bit older, they experience a barrier and then they flip that. It's about reframing, right? So they've flipped it to, well, I don't like sport because I experienced a barrier of some sort. It made me feel really uncomfortable. So I stepped away from it. And now, therefore, I don't like sport. And, like, for example, I had, and it doesn't have to be in a sporting context. Like, I'm about moving, right? I run Pilates workshops, and I had this young girl who came and openly said, I don't like sport and I don't like moving. And by the end of the 3-hour session, she said, I have to really rethink the way that I do this. I think I actually do like it. And it's about, well, it is. And, and I don't know, a colleague once said to me, you can't hit every nail on the head, but if you hit one, you're getting somewhere, right? So to me, I always approach everything that I do with, I've just got to get to one, right? And I hope that teachers still have that sense, because, we have this really big, there's a lot of push for the whole cohort, for everyone, we're trying to, lift everyone up, and we can do that. but it starts with one, right? So I just think,
Absolutely.
yeah, you've got to focus on the one, and not just one individual, and it's not favoritism or anything like that. It's about, okay, if I get to one, then I can create a ripple effect into the future for somebody else, and that's what we want. So yeah,
So
I
good.
I feel like those moments where I think girls experience barriers and then they shift away from things that make them feel uncomfortable.
I'm in a school and I'm in a primary setting, and I had a class of students, and we thought we would do some really unusual sports just in a school context. So we thought, let's do golf. And this group of students they're very energetic. And there's a particular student in that group, and she's mentioned to me, oh, I've never done this before. I said, give it a go. It's fine. It'll be great. There's a first time for everything.
Yeah.
Tell you what, Kelly, for her first time, she had the most perfect swing. And just coming from someone who has openly said, I don't like sport, I don't like moving, and then giving them a golf club and out swinging everyone in the class on the first hit, not once, not twice, but every single time.
Good.
I think I'm a firm believer as well, is that it's not that you don't like sport or movement, you haven't found the right one for you. You haven't found the one that's really opened the floodgates to go, hey, I'm incredibly capable. Like, I can do this. And I found something that I like, not only that I'm good at it, but I enjoy the feeling of just doing it.
Yes.
I love it.
I can't agree more. And this is where I feel, the door opens for schools. We do tend to, we've got to work within the facilities that we have, and we've got to work within the expertise offered by our staff, right? So, of course, if I'm in a school, I'll be running the basketball, right? I know that I'll be doing that. But there is no way that I'm going to be teaching a golf swing as perfectly as someone else who does it regularly, right? So I think, there is scope and space where, if schools can bring people in for sports that kids aren't going to just generally experience in, their normal school day, I think that's fantastic, because exactly what you said, I think just a lot of people don't find the right thing for them and then decide that they don't like it. They just haven't had it. They haven't found hadn't had that experience yet.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think as schools, we have to offer everything. And I think there's times when we're so focused on having a perfect program where we have a warm up, then we have X amount of weeks on skills, and then X amount of weeks on mini games, and then, go straight into games. I've shifted my whole approach is that every week is a game. Like, every lesson we play games, and then there's skill focuses in the games, but it's so unintentional. And from my experience, there has to be a skill development lessons. Yes, there do. Yes, there are, rather. But they just want to play. They just want to have fun. They want to build experience. They want to feel success. And the success is not the outcome. It's the process. It's 100%. The doing, which is the success, not the, oh my gosh, I won by 5 points. That's great. Did you have fun though? Yes, I did. Then everyone won. That's fair.
Very much about that flow, finding that flow and immersion, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And just doing different things all the time. And I think there's a misconception with sport as well, that sport is team-based. It's not necessarily team-based. There's so much opportunity you can do in that space that I think people forget as well. Yeah. Kelly, just moving back to the mental health side of it, what do you think students need at the moment in a mental health respect? So I understand that there are a lot of students that are resilient. They can go through hard moments. They can bounce back, as we say, but what do you think students are demonstrating really strong capacities of mental health versus what do you think we need to help them build?
Yeah. I think schools are doing a really, really good job of educating people on, what is mental health, what do I need to do to improve my mental health, and where can I go to support it? I think we're doing a great job of that. I think that, we talk about things like growth mindset a lot. We talk about resilience. We talk about goal setting. And I think, we sort of tackle those in a school setting. But outside of those things, I really think that we need to sort of drill down on self-awareness and self-regulation. Just providing the tools that these kids need so that in the moment they can reach to something and know that it works for them. Like, I feel like, we kind of fluff on those things, we sort of talk around them. But because, again, this sort of goes back to my original conversation where if we're not trained as teachers to teach breath work, to teach centering, to teach meditation or mindfulness, then it becomes like we feel challenged by it. So we kind of, oh, that's what it is. But we'll do what I know. So I think, like it'd be a really nice thing for kids to just go, okay, yeah, this is what I can do in this moment. And, to have that assurity that that skill exists in them. And we as teachers, I think if we can give them those skills or open the door to them, at least, again, get a professional in who knows what they're doing to show the kids how to do it and support them in that way, I think that's really, really important. The other thing I think is just a bit of self-compassion. We're in a hard and fast world, okay, and everything is about bigger, better, stronger. But in order for us to be bigger, better, stronger, we have to fail, right? We have to, and I think because of the way, social media portrays life, just media in general, we only ever hear about the people who are amazing or the people who are at the opposite end of that, right? So, success or failure, the middle is not talked about. And the only time you fail is when you give up, as far as I'm concerned. And so, I think we've really got to teach them that failure is, like you were talking about the process, failure is part of the process and there is fun in failure. We've just got to find it. And, also in that moment though, understanding that failure really sucks and we don't like it. It makes us feel uncomfortable. We're going to have this flood of emotions. And remember that a teenage brain is not really in control of any of those emotions. Their poor amygdala is like going berserkers and their prefrontal cortex is like, no, I'm on holidays, right? So, they're having a hard time controlling those emotions anyway. So a failure just feels like it's the end of the world. And so I think, giving them that ability to just, one, understand how their brain works at this time in their life, I think is so important. It's such a neglected part of personal development. And two, helping them be compassionate to themselves and understand that, hey, mate, that was tough. And yes, it's hard. And yeah, you've probably been a bit hard on yourself, but feel the emotions, let them feel it, give them the skills to work through it. That's
Absolutely, and I 100% agree. And I always like to use the saying with my class, fail fast and fail hard, get it done with. So then by the end, when you're building those skills, it's a lot easier to shift that thinking of going, okay, I've messed up. What do I need to now? I've always found in a mental health setting, using really clear language to help a sense of failure is really, really ideal. For example, I had a group of students and we were doing some soccer and classic winter sports, and there was a student that just said, this is hard. I haven't played this before. This is hard. And I used, in a really beautiful way, I used the phrase, well, what did you expect? You haven't done this before. And he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, if there's something we haven't done before, we can't assume it's going to be easy. And then the big saying is, everyone else makes it look easy. And that's always a beautiful conversation starter to, well, where did they start? They started where you are. It may take quicker, maybe longer, but at the end, you'll get to where they are. And I think having some form of really good conversations about comparison, because comparison conversations come to a journey, is that they've had their journey. They started their journey earlier than you, but it doesn't mean that you can't catch up, or you may take a different journey. This may not be your sport, and that's totally fine. You don't have to be good at everything. And I think, I don't know how you feel about this, but these days kids want to be good at everything. They want to be absolutely fantastic at all forms of movement, super great on the first try. What you're seeing as well?
I think, I feel there's a heaviness of expectation on kids, like I said, what they're seeing on social media, wherever they're seeing it, even in the talk around the town, you're talking about the people who are doing really well, or you're talking about, the ones who are not. And so they just get this sense that, I have to do this well to be accepted. And so kids are constant, particularly if I'm sort of looking at this preteen teen brain, right? They are wholly and solely searching for acceptance. As they're shifting away from their parents and from their guardians, their security nest that they've been in, they're starting to become their own person, and they're looking for acceptance. And, there's this sense that if I can't be perfect, I can't be accepted. And that's not entirely true. And there's insula in their brain. It's the mirror neurons are going, well, am I the same as them? No, I'm not. I'm not any good. Like, how does that work? And, it's, again, helping the kids understand how their brains are working right now, but also helping them understand exactly what you were talking about, that one person's path is not your path. They can, and you can pave your own way. You don't have to follow everybody, right? So,
absolutely.
I just feel like that encouragement to be different and to do things differently, learn the lessons and use them your own way, is the way I sort of talk about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's great that you mentioned social media, because I think that can be both a place of just incredible inspiration, but poor role modeling. Because again, we're just showing the end outcome, and and it's not authentic at times, because that's their business, that's their job. Their job is to show you an end product, but but navigating those conversations with young minds, it is very difficult, isn't it? What do you think we can do as teachers in a social media context to just give students a sense of their own reality of that this is that's social media, but what is real life to you? How can we really navigate social media in that sense of, I guess, mental health?
Yeah, look, that's a really huge question, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
No. It's fine. I suppose my sense on it is it's about that literacy, it's almost like social media literacy, health literacy. It's about knowing what you're looking at and being critical of it, but not in a critical sense as in, taking away from what you're seeing, but it's about analyzing and going, where's the reality in this?
Yes.
So I encourage, I sort of follow this path of, you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So, that also fits into your social media, right? So who are the 5 people that you're spending the most time looking at? Let's look at those people. Are they actually a person that you want to be like, or are you just looking at that because, you think you're supposed to, or that's what other people are looking at? I encourage kids to unfollow people that make them feel bad when they see something online. So if there is an emotion that comes up in them that is negative or sad, just unfollow. Just remove yourself from that space. And that's not a glossing over. That's just an awareness of what your intuition is telling you. You have this, deep inner being that guides your sense of what is right, what is wrong, and it in turn, it wholly and solely loves you. It's not worried about anyone else, right? So listen to the person that loves you the most, and it should be you, ideally. But yeah, I think
such a beautiful message.
Yeah. Well, it took me a long time to learn that one, mate. It really did. So, when you can remove yourself from comparison, and for me, yeah, man, that was the thing that literally sucked me down a vortex for a really long period of time. So yeah, it's how do you find your way, navigate your way around that, and it's just making sure that the people that you have around you and the people that you're focused on are the right kind of people. But to know that, you've got to know yourself.
Absolutely. And it's incredible how health literacy is now playing such a huge role with social media, because when we were young back in the day, I don't know about you, but back in my day, health literacy was looking at posters, it was looking at TV advertisements, it was looking at just marketing campaigns. It's much bigger now. It's so much bigger, because it's human generated content now that's their lives. And it's amazing. And you said it, you fall to the power of the group, or you fall to the power of, what you're exposed to so often. And I think even as health educators, we're so critical of sort of what we're seeing. And I'm quite critical of my social media page. I've found points that I'm resetting my content, because I'm going, no, this is not actually what I want to see. This is not conducive of good body image or health. And, and I think having that option now was actually really, really powerful. But I'm looking at the time, and I don't want to take any more of your time, but I've got one more question. And I think we've covered some of it already, is what do you think are some takeaway strategies that all educators even parents and just role models and mentors can take away to enhance this space of mental health, to give young people the capacity to, in a really lovely way, feel indestructible and feel that they can accomplish anything that they truly, truly desire, but also be wise enough to go that there is a process to this.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, there's lots of different things that we can do, right? But I just think as educators, allow time for practice, whatever it is that we are wanting our kids to take away from our classes, allow time for practice, that deep learning. And, like I said, it might be if we want our kids to be able to self-regulate, allow them some time to practice, give them some tools, things that they can do in the moment. And I think too, that practice needs to be relevant and current in that moment, right? So there's no point teaching self-regulation at a time where they don't need it, because it's not going to do anything for them. But if you can teach it at the time that they need it, then that helps. Again, you need to sort of have those tools in your toolkit so you can help them. But yeah, just giving them some time and space to practice whatever it is that you're trying to get across to them, because ultimately theory doesn't become real until you put it into practice, right? So so I sort of feel like that. I absolutely believe that we need to open the dialogue for gratitude. Open the opportunities for the kids to actually express to a classmate, yeah, wow, thanks for that, but do it openly in front of people. We don't do that enough. I think when we sort of create that, and that creates that environment where they're feeling connected. And the other thing I think too is starting your lesson where you're connecting with your kids. I always say, look, where are we at today, guys? Where's your energy at? I talk about energy as kind of like this holistic, sounds a bit airy-fairy, but that's how I do it. 1 to 5. And I always tell them where I'm at. I'm like, okay, I've been up since 5 a.m. I've done this, and this. Busy day. I'm sort of sitting at a 3 right now, but I'm excited. I'm sort of I said, I teach that what you give out, you get back. And so just that awareness of where are you at right now? What energy are you bringing into this space? And then I ask, where do you want to be at the end of the lesson? So then that's focusing them in, giving them that opportunity to be aware of where I am, know what I want to be, because a lot of them don't want to be in trouble. They don't want to be picked on by friends. They don't want all of this stuff. But, if they're not focused on that, suddenly it happens, and then there's the big blow up, and it's like, oh my God, I've got to regulate myself. And then now there's problems with the relationships, and, but bringing it right down from the very start of the lesson, where are you at right now? And where do you want to be at the end? And I kind of use this, I ask them to keep score. And I said, okay, today's not about the score of the game, right? It's not about the score of, your marks or anything like that. This is about the score, and it stands for your sportsmanship, and sportsmanship can be inside or outside. Are you playing by the rules? Are you treating each other fairly? Are you doing your best in this moment sort of scenario? Are you encouraging other people? C is your courage. Are you putting yourself out there? Are you giving yourself this?
So good. Oh,
yeah,
so
right.
Good.
Am I being courageous and answering a question I don't even know if the answer is right? Right. It can be that simple. And then your O is ownership, owning your behavior, owning your thoughts as your thoughts, right? No one else has to think the same way as you, but it's owning what you do in the space. And R is just respect. What does it look like, sound like, feel like? And are you doing that? And then E is your energy. All right. What are you bringing to this class today? And what do you want to leave other people with? Because your energy is infectious. So, yeah.
If you're listening to this, guys, rewind that. Write that down. Score, SCORE. Remember that this is tangible gold we can use right now. So rewind this, please. Write that down. Use that. Oh, this is incredible. This is what we need. We need these just skills of go. This is what we have. Let's apply it. Let's do it. Kellie, we need you. We need more of you. We need more of you in this space. We need you everywhere in every school. How can we get in contact with you? Do you do professional development?
I have done in the past, yes.
Yes.
So, in school and in person. So definitely open to doing that sort of thing. But yeah, you can pretty much reach me via my website. So bigpicturehealth.com.au. There's inquiry forms there, or just Kellie@bigpicturehealth.com.au.
Yes, yeah. I'll put those in the show notes.
yeah, open to running programs, personal development, and whatever, the school is asking for or needing. I'm happy to come in and help out. Yeah.
I think you've got a lot to offer in this space. And I think coming from someone who is constantly beating on the drum of conversations and mental health and supporting young people, I think staff PD 100% needed right now as well. And I think it's engaging with how do we have the conversations. And I think having you there in front of teachers now, teaching teachers like how to initiate these conversations safely for them, for the student, and just to get an outcome. This has just been everything that I hoped it to be, Kellie. You are incredible. Thank you so much for coming. This has been great. I really enjoyed this. I've taken heaps out of this. I'm going to rewatch this as well and take some more notes, because there's a lot of things that I've taken from this conversation that I'm going to use with my students as well. So thank you so much. I will, and can they contact you on LinkedIn as well? Because of course. I'll share that on the PDHPE Teachers Association page.
Yeah, on LinkedIn and the socials, it's all there. Just search Big Picture Health or Kel's Big Picture on the socials, and I'll pop up. Yeah.
Oh, this is so good. Kellie, thank you so much for your time. This has just been more than I hoped it would be, and it's just having you here is just great. We've got to get you back on the show again. Can't wait. Thank you so much. Everyone, you've been chatting to Kellie Coates. My name is Andre, and thank you for tuning into the PDHPE Teachers Association podcast. We'll see you next time.